You're listening to Consulting Logistics, presented by Aborn Company. I'm your host, Kyle McNaught. Thanks for checking us out. Recently, UPS and Fedex added peak surcharges, something that is typically seen imposed on merchants more during the Christmas shopping season. This move, which is the first in the e-commerce age, is clearly due to the rise of online shopping due to coronavirus. Now, while the surcharges are mainly aimed at large shippers like Target or Best Buy, I thought it'd still be a good time to discuss the small package landscape and how it works for shippers. And who better to break that down than Aborn's Director of Operations, Chris Peckham. You regular listeners of Consulting Logistics know Chris. He's helped explain IMO 2020. He's helped explain fuel surcharges and carrier negotiations and a ton of things to me. So I asked him to kind of talk about this. Now, full disclosure, this actually is a part of a conversation for a white paper we're going to be producing later this month, or kind of more this summer. We're sort of working on it right now. But that's sort of why in the video version of this podcast, Chris is kind of a little looking off and it's not really a back and forth. Chris truly was explaining to me how small package shipping works. So keep an eye out for that white paper. And in the meantime, enjoy Chris's lesson on small package shipping.
All right, small parcel. So you've really got two players in the U.S. You've got UPS, you've got FedEx. $65-70 billion companies. Obviously, Amazon's made a ton of noise in that they don't partner with FedEx anymore. They're trying to set up their own small parcel delivery network. It's not mature yet, but what was interesting is that both UPS and FedEx, for the first time in recent earnings releases, have acknowledged Amazon as a competitor, whereas before they just kind of were ignoring the elephant in the room. But they formally acknowledged them as a competitor, so that was interesting, at least for a geek like me. That was interesting. Small package. So, like I said, two dominant players in the U.S. If you're a shipper that has a lot of small package, and to define what small package is, let's use between 1 and 150 pounds. Those are weights of product that can be put into the UPS and FedEx networks. There's a lot that goes into pricing, and most people, when they look at pricing agreements with UPS or FedEx, it can be very overwhelming. Not it can be, it is very overwhelming if you're not familiar with how these things are structured. And that's very intentional on why that happens. So you will have, let's use ground shipping, right? So let's use our basic ground shipping. You will have different weight breaks where you earn a discount. So whether you ship, 100 packages or 500,000 packages, each carrier will break it out and say, all right, so between 1 to 10 pounds, you're going to get X% discount across all these zones. And we'll cover zones in a minute. And then from 11 to 30, you'll get Y% discount. And then from 30 plus, you'll get Z% discount. And those discounts are off of what they call published rates. So if you just go and you Google UPS Service Guide 2020 or FedEx Service Guide 2020, you will get their full service guide, which is probably a couple hundred pages long. And in there, there'll be a link that you can click on that'll say rates. There'll be another link that says UPS ground rates. So that will bring you to a table. That table is going to show you the different zones, and zones are really going to be defined as distances from the shipper. So for instance, Chris and Kyle shipping here in Norwell, we have a customer in Rentham. That's going to be a zone 2 shipment, right? So it's very close to the shipping point. Now, let's say we're shipping from Norwell again, and we're shipping to Oakland, California. That's probably a zone 8 shipment, meaning it's the furthest point away. And the higher the zone, the more you're ultimately going to end up paying for that shipment. So you have these base rates, which will be based on weight breaks. And then you will have a discount applied to all the different shipment depending on its characteristics. How heavy is it? What zone is it going to? Et cetera, et cetera. And that comes out to your net transportation charge. In addition to that, they'll also charge you fuel, which they publish, so you can at least follow it. And then there's all sorts of accessorials that go into it, and there's too many to too many to list, but there's a lot of them. If you're shipping to a residence, there's a residential surcharge. For FedEx, if you're shipping to a residence, there's a residential surcharge, and it also has to be in the home delivery network, which is different than their regular ground network. And those discounts are going to be different as well. So all sorts of fun stuff that happens in the small package pricing world. And so after your initial discount, there could be what we call an earned discount. And an earned discount is really tied to what they call revenue. It's your cost. If you spend X, we will give you an extra whatever percent discount. If you spend X plus, we'll give you this other percent discount. All sorts of stuff gets baked into it. And it's not all charges are eligible for that earned discount. It's usually just your transportation costs. Fuel's always kept out. Accessorials are usually kept out. So it's really not everything. Sometimes those things are based on gross costs. Sometimes they're on discounted costs. So it's all very, very confusing. Believe me. The first time that I looked at it, I didn't know what to think. And I remember I immediately went outside my own company and I brought somebody in who was an expert, who I'm still good friends with today. And they really helped walk me through it. So it's much easier to just kind of defer to what your UPS or FedEx rep is telling you. And there are brokers out there who also have UPS and FedEx pricing, and they could be doing the same thing. They could just be giving you a rate because they own the pricing. So it would be whatever the pricing is plus a markup, just like all the other modes that we've been talking about. There's that option as well. So to really get under the hood, there's, a lot of different things that you need to see. And the thing about both UPS and FedEx is they have all this data. I mean, these guys live and breathe in data, and they're intentionally very difficult in sharing your own data with you. So if you want to see what we call a PLD, a package level detail, hey, I just want to see everything that I've shipped and I've paid for. I want to see the service type. So whether it was ground, whether it was next day air, whether it was 2-day air, 3-day service, whatever it is, give me that. Give me the actual weight, the chargeable weight, the zone, freight costs, fuel costs, accessorial costs. They have all this. They just don't like to give it to you. They do have online reporting. So you would just need to ask your rep, hey, I need access to online reporting. And what I've found is that the FedEx online reporting to get PLD data is better than the UPS one. But you got to keep hounding them or else, you'll end up seeing your rep once a year when it's time for you to take a GRI. GRI is a general rate increase. So what they do is every year for the past, I don't know how many years, both FedEx and UPS have announced a GRI, general rate increase of 4.9%. And you think, oh, okay, I can do my budget. Now I say you're in a position where you know what you spent last year, and I'll just slap on 4.9%. It's just not how it works. They don't apply a blanket. What they do is they target different weight breaks and different services. So you may have, let's say, for instance, say FedEx they're good with how their network is operating for packages between 1 and 10 pounds from zones 2 to 6. Right. So that's only going to be a 2.5% increase. Right. And all they do is they just adjust the base rate. But when I look at my 2-day freight for packages 50 pounds and heavier, going to zones 3, 4, and 5, that's going to be a 9% increase. They don't break that down for you. They just say on average it's a 4.9, right? So it gets very, very tedious to understand. That's why it's critical to understand your own DNA. How am I shipping today? Am I shipping ground? Am I shipping more air? If I'm shipping air, what type of air service am I shipping? Am I shipping priority overnight? Am I shipping, am I shipping 2-day? Whatever it is. Understanding that, and then you can start to analyze your data and see what the real impact could be. But it's not easy. It's not easy for experts to get this. But yeah, generally speaking, these are both very sophisticated technical companies that have all the ability in the world to give you every tool that you need. It's just some of them, they keep close to the vest. As soon as you start asking, hey, give me last year's PLD file so I can see everything that I shipped and all the costs associated with it broken out nice and neat for me. They don't want to do that because it sends up a huge flare this guy probably wants to go out to bid, right? No, there's only two people here. So, if he dumps you, where the freight's going, right? And these guys know that. So they'll intentionally drag their feet to get you everything.
KPIs, where it's just PDL or PLD?
No, you want to know on time, right? So you want to know you're on time and how that's performing. And then for me, it's not so much KPIs, but it's just understanding how I'm shipping today. So, a lot of companies, they don't have a good understanding or perspective on some of the services that they're using, right? And that, what I see a lot and what I look for in data when I get that PLD file is I say, okay, well, I want to start to look at express services. So let's look at priority overnight. Let's look at your 2-day shipments, your 3-day shipments, things like that. Let's start there. Now let me look at all of those that use an express service and ship to a zone 2 or a zone 3, right? Because that to me right there are perfect shipments that should go ground. Right? So there's an internal control aspect that's happening here. So you've got people that are shipping products using services that are not necessary at all. Like, do we really need something delivered by 8 a.m.? Do we really? Like, can't we have it at ground and have it show up by 5 p.m.? And maybe there is a legitimate reason for it, but more often than not, you're going to see people just don't know what these services are. So, I'll do priority overnight. And then when you go and you look at your pricing, if you actually have it, you may not be getting a discount at all on priority overnight. So you're just going to pay the list rate.
And that's our show. And again, the conversation was for an upcoming white paper that we're going to be producing on finding success in small package. Subscribe to our newsletter and social channels to be notified when that guide's available. I'm really hoping we can get it out soon, but I also have a newborn baby, as you might have heard in the background. So, working on content's been super fun at home. Have a question or a comment on small package that we didn't address? Leave a comment in the video below. And in the meantime, subscribe to the Aborn YouTube channel to see more content like this. Thanks for watching Consulting Logistics. I'm Kyle McNaught. Rock and roll!